It was bound to happen. Some people are saying that Aaron Brooks' win over David Taylor was an upset. And I'm over here thinking maybe he's just that good.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
When you take aim at the king, you best not miss. And Aaron Brooks certainly did not when he took out David Taylor. This is Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm your host, Zach Seyko, and thanks so much for making us your first listen and watch every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Well, let me know in the comments what your thoughts were now that the Olympic trials are officially in the books. Aaron Brooks over David Taylor, Kyle Snyder, Mason Parris handling business as expected. And arguably I don't even think it's up for a debate. The United States is sending its best six, the six best individuals over to Paris. Now, there is business to be handled in Istanbul, Turkey for Spencer Lee and Zain Retherford, but I imagine they're going to get it done. So all of them are going to qualify. We are going to begin with Aaron Brooks over David Taylor, not once, but twice. So David Taylor has only lost one match, and it was an international match against Yazdani, but that was his only loss. When it came to all of his United States matchups, he had not lost in 7 years, and Aaron Brooks beats him not once, but twice in the same day. They don't even need the third bout of a best-of-3 series, and Aaron Brooks is an Olympian. He is going to be the representative at 86 kilos after defeating David Taylor 4-1 and then 3-1. Now, David Taylor certainly looked a little, I don't want to call it passive, but definitely wrestled like a different type of animal in the second bout to try to get revenge against Aaron Brooks. Took some notes, was certainly warmed up for the second bout, and it kind of had the feel like, hey, this is probably going to go to a best-of-3. That's what I was anticipating. But if you watch the previous episode, after what Aaron Brooks did winning the first one, that he was going to win, regardless if it went to just 2 matches or if it went to 3. Now, Aaron Brooks took care of business, so it didn't have to be left up to chance and go into that series finale. But like I said, the fact that Brooks was able to win under those conditions, and that's how I will wrap up this segment. But Taylor came out firing. Taylor came out firing on all cylinders. He threw the kitchen sink. He threw every card in the deck at Aaron Brooks, and it did not matter. Taylor, the best pound-for-pound wrestler in not only the United States, but arguably internationally with what he's done. Again, losing only one match since 2017 outside of the country. And Brooks was able to handle all of it. He wrestled a perfect match in that second bout, fended off every single attack. And David Taylor was in on some deep shots. I don't think Taylor is past his prime. Yes, he is older. He's heading towards his mid-30s. He's 33 years old to be exact. But I think Brooks has just improved that much in such a short period of time. It's taken some time, right? You know, it's years to do this, back-to-back years. David Taylor beat him twice at this level. But Brooks figured something out at the age of 23 you can call it an upset if you like, but again, I think Brooks has just improved by that much. At the end of the match, at the end of the second bout, when there was about 20 seconds left, Taylor was in on a head outside single, really good shot attempt, and Brooks just countered, pushing down on the head, ultimately putting the leg through. When you compare and contrast them just in terms of size, right? You know, talent alone, every single pound, there is an equal amount of talent in both of these wrestlers, pound for pound, kilo for kilo, right? Now at this point, a year ago, it's a different story, but right now, as you can see, Brooks, taking the reins here. But Brooks countered everything that Taylor had to throw at him. I don't know that he was more prepared or anything like that, but it's the smart, strategic wrestling, especially when Taylor, who stands at 6 foot, has the size advantage, was not able to complete any of those attacks. And Brooks was able to use what he knows about the sport and counter in a 4D chess, if you will. I feel like anybody else gives up those takedowns. Anybody else would give up those takedowns, and somehow Brooks was able to counter them. And like I said, Taylor, like Valencia, has that height advantage, and Brooks defeated both of them. Brooks defeated both of them. Now let's remember what Aaron Brooks had to do here to get to this point, to actually become an Olympian and represent the United States at 86 kilos. And he is in. He does not have to go through anything as far as last chance. And I appreciate the comments section for adding context to all of this as well. That's why I say, hey, contribute to the comments, be a part of the discussion. But remember what Brooks had to do. Brooks wrestled the toughest one. Yes, I know that David Taylor was, arguably his toughest opponent, since that was the best of 3 series to get with what was on the line, what was at stake. But in that semifinals bout against Zahid Valencia that finished up after 11:45 p.m. at night, and then after midnight all the way to 1 a.m., he is cutting weight with Bo Nickel. Hey, shout out to Bo Nickel for training and to make sure that Aaron Brooks was going to be able to cut weight by the time that morning weigh-in rolled around. So that's what happened. He's up to 1 a.m. Who knows when he actually got to sleep? Got maybe, I imagine, 5 hours of sleep before he had to get to weigh-in. And then you wrestle the best pound-for-pound wrestler of the past 7 years, and you defeat him. That's why I was convinced. If Brooks had lost that first match, and then I said, well, this might go to a best of 3 because just give Brooks some extra time to rest, and he will be okay. We want to talk about David Taylor being the magic man. Aaron Brooks has some magic of his own. Seriously. To be able to do that, to defeat Zahid Valencia the way he did, and then to have to cut weight until about roughly 1 in the morning, who knows when he finally got to sleep, go to weigh in at 8 in the morning, and then wrestle the best wrestler in the entire world and defeat him in that match in the afternoon, about 4 hours later after weigh-in. That's what was so impressive about this. All the odds were against Aaron Brooks, and he won. And he won, I don't want to say convincingly, but decisively, right? 4-1 and 3-1. Okay, he didn't win on a tie score in criteria. He won against David Taylor back-to-back times like that. This didn't go to a best of 3, and he won against all those circumstances that were against him. What was in favor of him? What was playing into Brooks's favor other than maybe David Taylor had a little too much rest, right? But that's another thing. Taylor was fully rested, ready to go. Probably had to shake off some rust, but Brooks, with having limited rest, was able to defeat that caliber of wrestler in David Taylor. So if he can beat a well-rested DT under all of those circumstances, what does that mean? We know what it means. Aaron Brooks deserves to be in the Olympics, and will certainly, I know how tough that international competition is going to be, but he certainly can medal if he continues at the pace that he is going. Now, the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club housed 4 out of the 6 spots filled for the Olympics. And Zain Retherford, I know he's still got to compete at last chance, but Kyle Dake over Jason Nolf, Kyle Snyder, it's his weight class until he decides otherwise. Talk about how Dake and Snyder showed that they are still among the best in the U.S. and in the world, coming up next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. And today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you find professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours, just a day. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses, where you're wearing a lot of hats, they get it, they understand, and might not have the time to devote to hiring. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier, quicker, and more intuitive. 2.5 million. That's right, 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn. So be one of them. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. While everyone's talking about how Jordan Burroughs and David Taylor are past their prime, Kyle Dake certainly is not. You can't apply that argument to him. Before we get back to the content, I want to tell you about Locked On's NFL Mock Draft. It's now available, and you can check out the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle as well. Locked On NFL Mock Draft is now available on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. So Kyle Dake takes care of business over Jason Nolf. Out of all the men's freestyle, nobody went to a best of 3. So you can't sit here and say you can't. It's hard to debate. It's very difficult to debate. Sure, I guess you can say it if you wrestle these matches a little more, a best of 5, a best of 7. Somebody's going to get some victories, right? But in the best of 3, nobody needed that series finale in a winner take all. Everybody took care of business in the first 2 bouts, which I thought was pretty unique, right? There was little margin of error for the ones, and that's why I said at the beginning of the show that the United States is in fact sending its 6 best wrestlers. Spencer Lee and Zain Retherford still have to handle business in Turkey, but I fully anticipate that they will. For Kyle Dake is just too tough to score on. That's it. Because if you watch Jason Nolf wrestling passively in that second bout, again, where you need to fight like hell to try to even the series, to do what you can, and Jason Nolf opted to take the passivity point rather than forcing an attack on Dake and getting caught and getting scored and countered on by Dake. So that is how good Dake's defenses and counter moves are. That Nolf would say, I will eat the passivity point rather than trying to force a shot when Dake knows that I'm going to be attacking at him. Dake is 33. He has not lost a step. And with the way that he's, performed the year before at Worlds and he medaled in the Olympics as well. Dake is setting himself up once again to do just that. And I know how tough these brackets are going to be. I know they are. I know the competition is going to be obviously the best in the world because it is the Olympics, like that needs to be said. But it is the way, again, competition that knows him well, fellow Nittany Lion Wrestling Club members. Nolf taking the passivity point as opposed to trying to force a shot to get off the passivity clock. And he would rather take the score against him rather than doing that. That's just a testament to what Dake is as a wrestler. And kind of a similar thing with Kyle Snyder now. However, Isaac Trumbull certainly gave him as much as he could handle. Like I said before, this is Snyder's weight class until he decides it's not. And that's going to be for the foreseeable future, right? Since he's still in his late 20s, he could argue Jordan Burroughs wrestling at 35 years old. I don't know about 8 years from now, but another 4, right? Who is going to own this weight class? Probably Kyle Snyder for all 4 of them, right? But Trumbull gave him a fight in that second match. And it's not that Kyle Snyder couldn't handle it. That's even better to see that he could, because against anybody else, I fully believe that Trumbull is able to pull off that move that he did towards the end of the bout and land probably a 4-point move, but with how strong and stabilized that Kyle Snyder was able to fend that off so it doesn't even turn into anything, 1 point, 2 points, no matter what. He was going through for the big throw. Trumbull was trying to go for it all to tie it up and probably take the criteria. He would have taken the criteria as well with that 4-point move, hypothetically, and Snyder was able to fend it off. Trumbull is in great position against anybody else. Trumbull lands that move, gets 4 points, and then who knows what. Kyle Snyder, like I said, this is his class. This is his class until further notice. And then Mason Parris. Hey, Parris is going to Paris. Mason Parris dominated with a dominant sweep. Like I said, everybody swept their opponent. Hayden Zillmer, 7-0 both times. Parris was a matchup nightmare for Zillmer because of that pure combination of size and length. Wasn't one or the other. There was no way that Zillmer And Zomer normally has that size advantage because he's got longer arms, longer limbs. He's usually the taller wrestler. And Parris goes toe to toe with him, right? In terms of that equivalent size there. But of course, he's bigger. He's got bigger, even though they're the same weight, right? He's got a bigger build to him. And Parris uses that. But I think he's going to be a matchup nightmare for even international competition as well. And that class is going to starting to look at some names. Okay, who's going to be there? Who was at the World Championships just last year and the year before? Who can we expect? And it's going to be a tough class. But again, the United States is sending its best representative there at 125 kilos. We will wrap it up briefly talking about Zain Retherford, Spencer Lee, what they need to do if they want to join the 4 other Americans that are already qualified into the Paris Olympics. That is coming up next here on Locked On Nittany Lions. And today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Locked On. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Action's ready to go. Did you see that first slate of games? Baseball's back in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on each and every single game. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's right, $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. And I can attest to that because I use FanDuel myself. So what are you waiting for? All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. That's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So what do Spencer Lee and Zain Retherford have to do in Turkey specifically to join the other 4 wrestlers in Paris? Remember, if you're not already, become an everyday. Subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts for the latest conversations around your favorite Penn State sports teams. We're taking it a step further with the Nittany Lion Club wrestlers, but also talking, now we're all on the same team here, right? Forget Penn State, forget the Nittany Lions. We are all on the same team as the United States. So Spencer Lee and Zain Retherford are going to Istanbul, Turkey for last chance since 57 and 65 kilos are not officially qualified for the United States. So what do Lee and Retherford have to do, which I know they will do? They have to finish in the top 3 or better to actually qualify for the Olympics. This is going to go over the course of May 9th through May 12th. And Spencer Lee, now that he's fully healthy, fully recovered, he's sustained a long list of injuries to the legs. And now he is I forget who posted it on X, but somebody said when the other international countries see that Spencer Lee is unleashed into the wrestling world. Spencer Lee does have that kind of aura. He is a beast. He pinned Thomas Gilman. Thomas Gilman is a part of the Olympic team this year because he ends up being the runner-up, but he medaled at the Olympics in 2020. He's in his late 20s himself. And Spencer Lee, who just kind of needed a year to rejuvenate, to get back to this point where he was tops. And I looked at the brackets originally and I'm like, what is Spencer Lee doing as the 4th seed? Because everything that I've seen over the past 3, 4, 5 years, even back to when, again, he was a Pennsylvania high school wrestler. So even seeing what he did at the high school level, why is he the 4th seed here? Well, because he hasn't been wrestling as much in freestyle because of what he's had to do to get back on track. And that's fine. But then he proved, okay, hey, you underseeded me here. I should have been higher, but that's fine. Who cares about the seeding? Who cares about the seeding? It's all that matters is if you win. And Spencer Lee did just that. He will do that in Turkey. Same thing with Zain Retherford. Zain Retherford, handled business against Nick Lee. Only needed the 2 matches, and it made it look easy. It wasn't easy, but he made it look easy. I have no concerns about them missing out. I have absolutely no concerns about them getting through Turkey and joining everybody else in Paris. And then this is tough. This is really tough to kind of rank. I want to rank all of 6 of the wrestlers of how likely they are to medal, how likely they are to finish with a gold. I would say Kyle Snyder's the most likely option. But as far as the other 5, they're kind of all in an even boat here. Think about what was done. Thomas Gilman, Jordan Burroughs, right? David Taylor, all these legendary United States wrestlers, and they're not there. I know Jordan Burroughs is specifically lost to Jason Nolf, but Jason Nolf beat Jordan Burroughs, and then Kyle Dake beat Jason Nolf, right? So those legendary American wrestlers aren't returning, and these younger ones, and again, all these wrestlers outside of Burroughs, maybe just because, but they're still relatively in their prime. They haven't completely aged themselves out of the competition, right? These were still close bouts. But then the 23-year-old Aaron Brooks, the 24, 25-year-old Spencer Lee, right? All of these younger 24-year-old Mason Parris, all of these younger wrestlers are coming through. And the world needs to be put on notice that if these legends can be upset by this younger group of wrestlers, what does that mean? What does that mean exactly? So Kyle Snyder, yes, I would say is easily the most likely to medal just because he's done it and he's done it consistently, right? As long as you keep doing it, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. So I'm not going to change my pick to say Kyle Snyder is the most likely, has the best odds to medal and possibly win a gold. But when I look at Aaron Brooks, Spencer Lee, Zain Retherford, Mason Parris, Kyle Dake. Yes, to put those four of them with Kyle Dake, who has been there, who has medaled internationally, who has medaled at the Olympics once before, took bronze, and I'm grouping them all together and saying there's not much of a margin between who would be the next most likely after Kyle Snyder to medal or take gold, possibly. That's saying something. That is saying something about this group. Very excited to see what goes down in Turkey, to have those final two, Lee and Retherford, join the other four, and then ultimately late July, early August for the Paris Olympics. I want to thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart joining me for this coverage, for these discussions around the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, since this is a Penn State Nittany Lions show, but then taking it a step further to talk a little bit more about USA wrestling, the Olympic trials, and what it means for the actual country. I appreciate your comments joining me in this discussion. If you like this content around Penn State wrestling and now going further into USA wrestling, leave a like, share this episode with friends and family, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and wherever you get your podcast, become an everydayer. And for more content consistently about your Penn State Nittany Lions, keep it right here on Locked On Nittany Lions. And once again, thanks so much for checking out this episode of Locked On Nittany Lions. Don't forget, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus the national shows covering each and every league. You can find Locked On Sports Today now available on YouTube and on the free Fire TV channels app.